Hello! In today's tutorial, I will show you my take on how I made this mile high apple pie.
Ba-doom, 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 ba-doom. Doom, ba-doom, 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 ba-doom. Doom, ba-doom, ba-doom, ba-doom.
Alrighty, let's do this. So here I have a little food plastic play set from Walmart. It's a 100-piece set. And I have this little watermelon, and I'm going to use that as my cutter, I guess. Like a cookie cutter. But it's just a piece of plastic. And all I want from that is the wedge shape to create my fake apples. So here what I'm doing is I'm just taking a chunk of dough, and what I'm going to do is flatten it out as you would any, not dough, it's clay, my bad. But I'm just going to take it, flatten it out. It can be any thickness you want. Mine more or less are like freeze dried at the end looking. So here I'm going to show you. I could have just went in with a circle cutter and just cut, but when I went this way with my little Dollar Tree cutter I got, it kind of roughs up the edges, and I like that. So that's why I'm doing it like this and not just using like a circle lid or anything circle. So I also go in and I'm just pressing down the watermelon like an actual cookie cutter. And that must work too. Now, the watermelon will go back to its shape. It will be a little squished, but it does go back to its shape, so it's not ruined. You can use it again. So I already have some of these apples prepared that I let dry 2 days ago. And I'm going to show you how I painted them to make them look more realistic. So I'm just going in and I'm going to dry brush all the apples. And I'm going to go around the edges and really like coat the edges more, not so much dry brush around the edges. I kind of go in full paint there, but I just dry brush over all these apples. And you can see the effect that it's creating. It's making this clay little apple slice really come to life. So it does. And I'm just giving them all just one single coat and letting them dry. Now, what I'm going to do is go in with some Mod Podge and some cinnamon. And I'm only sprinkling the cinnamon on a couple of them because some of them's going to be kind of hidden under the other apples for what I kind of have in my head, how I want this to look at the end. So I only do a few of them with the sprinkled cinnamon, you'll see. Okay, now this is the hardest part of this whole thing. It's mainly the clay that I'm working with. I hate this clay, but I'm trying to use it up. So what I'm doing is I'm taking, because we want to cover this pie up. Now what I used to fill my pie with was I took magazine papers and I crinkled them up. You'll see here eventually what I did. And I just put them and I made a mountain. And I'm just rolling this dough out. It's a lot on your hands. I hate it. So I'm measuring, seeing if it fits. Took quite a few attempts to get it to fully cover it. And trust me, it does not have to be perfect. It's more authentic with the imperfections. So I'm just kind of trying to get it to fit over this mountain of crinkled up magazine papers. Took a good hot minute, so I sped it up here because I would be bored myself watching. So all I'm doing now is once I kind of drape it over top, kind of like you would with fondant on a cake, all I'm doing is putting light pressure and I'm kind of just pushing it down to the side of this pie shell. And I don't think I said, but this pie shell was from Dollar Tree. And I'm just lightly pressing because these pans will bend very easily. They're not the most durable. But with light pressure, it gets the job done. No bends. So there I go, just dipping my fingers sometimes in the water, acting like the glue, holding pieces together. And I was missing a whole chunk. So all I did was took another chunk of that clay and just added it on. And it gives more, an authentic look. Unless you're a professional baker, your pie is not going to be perfect, especially a mile high apple pie. I know a lot of times, like with a real one, when you're baking it, the cooked apples inside from the actual crust on top, when the apple's cool, the pie kind of like gets indentations. So it's no biggie. All I'm doing now is taking, and I want to make the crust for around the pie. Now, what I did, I could have went in and like really made the crust stick out, but since I didn't have anything in where my magazines were, I want this clay to stick to the other clay. And I used the water again on my fingertip to kind of act like a glue as I'm applying this. So now I go in and I'm just going to take my thumb every so often and gently press down. And then I go in with my index finger and my thumb and I pinch and I gently like pull up in between each thumbprint. And I'm going to show you, if you want to just have a normal looking pie with no extras, mine end up being covered up at the end, but I just wanted to show. You can go in and add the little slits that a pie would have. And I'm just using a little plastic knife here and just showing you if you want a normal looking pie. But I like the extra add-ons here at the end that I do. So you could just do that. Now, I have these fun little tea bags. I don't drink tea.
I only twisted tea.
These are for crafting and my plants because I use the tea afterwards and dry it out, and it's really good for house plants. But here, I'm just showing you. It's one of these tea bags, and if you open it up after you use it, they make the coolest little things you can use for crafts. The paper. And my idea here was, oh, this could look like pecans. And it actually does. It's insane. But yeah, I was just wanting that texture. And I was like, this one needs something. So I went in with my tea bags that I had prior saved. And I'm just adding them all throughout this little, between the crust and the pie. Now, we're going to do a little ice cream scoop on top. So all I have here is a foam ball that was like cut in half, and a piece of my air dry clay, and this fancy little tool thing that I have no idea what it is, but I use it all the time. And I'm just going and making like some lines on top because this is going to be an ice cream scoop. I kind of wanted not just pure white, so I added a little bit of the caramel color acrylic paint with my white acrylic. And I just mixed a color that kind of resembled a French vanilla. So, to make this ice cream scoop, they're actually really easy. There's tons of ways you can do them. You can use spackle, people do. But I don't got any more spackle. So I'm using this foam ball that's cut in half. And it works perfect. I actually like the foam ball look better. So I'm just taking and kind of rolling that out. And I'm going to put that around the base of this little circle here, you'll see. And I'm just going to like keep pushing it on. And you want them cracks and divots, and you want all those imperfections. That's what's going to make this look like an ice cream scoop. So just keep on pressing and pulling and pinching. And if there's cracks, don't even go over it with water because that's even better. It gives it the more realistic effect that I wanted. So once I get my clay applied here on the base, I go in and I'm going to paint it. Now, the easiest way to paint foam is with a foam brush. because the foam ball literally sucks up the acrylic paint and you like really have to dab it down in. But I didn't feel like pulling out my foam brush. I just went in with this little paintbrush. And I'm going to paint it. Now you should let the clay dry, but it's no biggie. Mine's still kicking days later. Painting it wet. So once I finally get this coated, I am going to move on to the next step. And I'm doing this step now because I had went with my pie I went over it twice with coffee grunge. My coffee grunge mixture. And again, if you don't know what that was or is, all it is 1 cup of instant coffee, a teaspoon of cinnamon, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. And you fill the container with water. So here's my pie with 2 coats of the coffee grunge. Now, I really want I want it whimsical, but I want it realistic. I don't even know how to explain it, but here I'm going to go in with some detail. I'm adding the burnt umber and I'm dry brushing it on some certain little spots, like where the pie, if it was real, where it would burn more, I guess, on the crust. And then the top here, it's always going to get more crisp. And I'm going to focus more on the top where it's real at the peak, because clearly if you're going to bake this in an oven, that area is going to get more crisp. So I hit it up again. Here you'll see, just painting away with my little dry brush method. And it's adding really nice dimension. I'm impressed. Go me. And at any point, I mean, if you wanted this to be more realistic, don't go in with the coffee grunge. You could have went in with just the classic caramel and dry brushed it and called it a day. But I wanted more of like the brown sugar outside effect. They make all different types of mile high pies. And I made one in real life before. And mine had this like brown sugar glaze over it with walnuts and pecans and drizzle. And I wish I had a picture to show you, but I cannot find it for the life of me in my Google Drive. Sadly. So here I'm just taking my add-ons that I want to put here. And I want to put those apples on top as like a focal point of this pie with my ice cream scoop. So I'm just looking how I want it placed. And then I'm going to hot glue those on. And here's another tip I wanted to share too. If you do the same methods I'm doing and you think it's too dark, you can go in and create effect too with just the classic caramel. And I'm dry brushing that over top of all this. And it gives it a really nice effect once it's all dry. And you really want to blend it in. You don't want to see no brush strokes. So like little circular motions while you're dry brushing, you shouldn't get brush strokes. So here I'm just going in and hot gluing these pieces all down how I wanted them. And then I'm going to go in around I don't glue the foam part of this fake ice cream scoop. I glued the clay because this hot glue gun, I hate it. It gets way too hot. It freaking burns me every time. So it's going to burn that foam. So I just put it on the clay. Now, here I'm going to take a little Mod Podge. It's a matte one. And I want to go over my pie. Because if you remember from my first video, the salt dough one with the brownie. I had a bag of nuts that I created from the salt dough that I just took and like cut up. And I'm going to use some of those on the outside here of my pie. I'm just going to sprinkle them wherever. And what's nice, I guess, about this being wet clay is you can press it in to the clay. You don't have to go in and glue it on. That would be a down if you waited till this dried and went in with the nuts. So I guess it is kind of smart to go in wet.
Ba-doom, 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 ba-doom. Doom, ba-doom, 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 ba-doom. Doom, ba-doom, 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 ba-doom. Doom, ba-doom, 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 ba-doom.
Now I'm going to add my drizzle. So for the drizzle, what I'm doing is I'm taking this white caulk and I am adding caramel acrylic paint and I'm adding some Mod Podge. Now, the mixture, how I make it, I do 3/4 of my mixture is going to be the caulking, and then the rest I put the Mod Podge and the acrylic paint. So once I got that mixed up, I just put it in my sandwich bag, I snip the tip, and I just drizzle her on there. And I actually go in with another shade too that I had pre-mixed up. I just kind of want to use this up so I can get this container for something else. So I'm just going in with some of the darker, I don't even know what this would even be on an apple pie, but hey, I'm just trying to get rid of it. And it does not look bad at the end. I'm digging it. So I have more apple pieces and I wanted to just give it a cute little something in the front. So I just take and put 2 little slices in the front. And then I'm like, this needs more. What else? So I go in and, oh yeah, I'm drying it because I have a habit of putting my fingers in wet paint. So once I get it dry, I kind of sit there, I can see and tap my fingers and wonder, what is it I want to add? So I end up going in with a little piece of ribbon I had and 2 cinnamon sticks and double knotting it on. And that's going to be the perfect little accent piece that I want for this pie. So here I am just putting it on. Eventually I do go in and hot glue it so it doesn't fall off. But right now I just have it chilling up there. I think it does end up falling off until I do get it glued down. So I was thinking, this still needs something more. And what I do here is I go in and I mix my Mod Podge. And I mix it with the cinnamon just in this old little coffee lid from Instant Coffee. And we are going to rust this pan up. Like, I want this pan to look like they pulled it out of the dirt from, like, the Civil War. I want it to look old, nasty, crusty. I just wanted that look for some reason. So after this dries, after you're done applying the fake rust, I went in and I spray painted it with clear spray paint, bottom, top, side, the whole pie. And that's going to help keep that cinnamon intact that I'm going around and adding the fake rust. It's going to help keep them fake walnuts stuck to my pie. Oh, and before I forget, I did go in with allspice just on the divots of the handles here. It gives it extra dimension. And she's done. Here's an up close shot of how she looks. I'm in love. It's going to go great with my decor that I want to use it for. I'm going to retire my pumpkin pies for the year and use this. And here she is with my other fake bakes I had made. And thank you all so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day.